KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Luka Doncic era with the Lakers is off to an impressive start. In the debut game for Doncic in a Lakers uniform, the Lakers dominated Utah Monday night at Crypto.com 132-113. It was the first game for Doncic since Christmas Day. He had been sidelined with a strained calf muscle. Doncic was in the starting lineup. In 24 minutes, he contributed 14 points and 4 assists. When Doncic gets in shape and loses a few pounds, Lakers Nation will see his true value. The Lakers have won 6 straight and 10 of their last 11 games. The Charlotte Hornets have asked the NBA to investigate the Lakers' physical exam of Hornets center Mark Williams. Williams failed the physical after he was acquired by the Lakers in a trade last week. The NBA rescinded the trade on Saturday, sending all players involved in the deal back to their original teams. Stay tuned on this situation. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
What you want to do, huh?
KBLA Talk 1580 is thrilled to share that we have been named as a semifinalist for the coveted American Climate Leadership Awards, honoring our climate work last year. We're also delighted to announce year 2 of our Climate Justice Crusade. This year's $2 million 12-month campaign will link and combat the relationship between climate change and poor health outcomes for African Americans and the poor. Climate inequities have taken a toll with multiple health triggers in the Black community, such as extreme heat and poor air quality, made worse by the recent wildfires. Our work to ensure climate justice and climate equity continues. In the coming weeks and months, you'll be hearing a lot more about our 2025 climate campaign. To learn more about our plans for this year and the companies and organizations supporting us, log on to our website at kbla1580.com. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
What is the world coming to? Seems like everyone is running from the truth. We just stand up and fight, walk into the night. We're the people, we can do it if we try. I know we can do it. Somebody asked me, why do we have to go through it? It's just a test of our faith. What we're living day to day. We don't know where, we don't know when, but it's coming back again. Oh, yes it is. It's made me. Oh, Lord, it's time for you to return. Oh, Lord, sing. I know. Time to make a change.
Oh, yes, it is that time to make that change. We count it all joy that you have joined us on this day on Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. Today, we are going to explore some neo-Nazi terrorism type activity happening in the Queen City in the great state of Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio. Just overt bigotry through and through. And then we need to explore the question, are Americans lazy? Well, according to Elon Musk, the world's wealthiest man, Americans are lazy. And they're thinking about literally encouraging people to work themselves to death, not caring one bit about the quality of life of working class people. Nope, if you're working class, you don't deserve quality of life. You don't deserve to tiptoe through the tulips and smell the roses. No, you must work. And when you get done working and work some more. But before we explore all that, the doctor's in the house, Dr. Cornel West. Doc, greetings to you, and what is on your heart, soul, and mind?
Well, I must say, when I think of Lincoln Heights, I was just at Lincoln Heights Baptist Church a few months ago. It's a historic church, produced towering figures working with James Cleveland, Brother Charles, and others. And, the Isley brothers grew up right around the corner from Lincoln Heights Baptist Church, so that when you think of Cincinnati, you think not just of Bootsy Collins, but you think of the Isley brothers. But what we're witnessing is things that get more barbaric every day, because the Trump administration has rendered emboldened various weaponized forms of hatred, be it neo-Nazis or whatever form it takes. And I must say, you know, after seeing what happened in the White House today with the dialogue between President Trump and King Abdullah, you can see 19th century imperialism in the 21st century with all of its vicious racist dimensions and predatory capitalist intentions. The very notions you think you can just push a people out, already living under apartheid, already dealing with genocide, not one effort to talk about who's responsible, who's accountable for the genocidal attacks. They just keep talking about, oh, it's rubble. How did it become rubble? It's the IDF. It's Netanyahu. It's U.S. money. It's U.S. military. How did it become the rubble? No reference whatsoever. So no concern about international law, no concern about rule of law, no concern about legitimacy. It is raw power. That's exactly what we mean by, and what I mean by the normalizing of gangster activity. And that emboldens the neo-Nazis, not just in Cincinnati, all around the country, all around the world. They got an election coming up right now in Germany, right?
Yes.
The Nazi Party, supported by Musk, explicitly, he was just there just a few weeks ago and told him, don't worry about the guilt vis-a-vis the Holocaust and so forth. Bringing the worst of his own South African sensibility, the worst of his own shaping and the apartheid regime in South Africa, not just to the United States, not just to Washington, but to Germany. This is a global, this is international a matter, and we just have to be very clear of our commitment to truth and justice and love. I was just in dialogue with folk on Al Jazeera talking about how some of us are going to be speaking the truth until the last breath in our lungs, for our Palestinian brothers and sisters, for poor people here, and for anybody who was undergoing any form of subjugation and exploitation. And it's just sad to see the barbarism increasing all the time. It was already there. We saw it under Biden. We saw it under Harris in terms of genocide. No doubt about that. So that you get a kind of neo-fascist gangsterism, neoliberal gangsterism, and you say, how do we de-gangsterize our country and the world? Oof. Oh, that's a tough question.
It is, Doc. It's just bubbling up, and you're right. It was always there. You can't have something bubble up that wasn't there already.
Ooh, isn't that true? That's right.
And this is a reckoning. I mean, certainly 2025 is a year of awakening, both in this country and internationally. It's also a year of reckoning, and we have to reconcile ourselves. Often you talk about the that we all have that other side. I mean, we're all multifaceted, and we can lean one way or the other. We need more people to lean on the good side of human nature and not the raw power, negative side of human nature. Unfortunately, in this moment, on full display is a greater force of the negative, evil side of human nature, that people will use power in a way that disempowers other people. You can have what you need, but if you having what you need and want impedes on my freedom, my life, and my liberty, then what you want is not right. I mean, we should equally be able to have what we both want without hurting each other. And so we see that, Doc, all over the world. We're going to continue to explore that. What we see happening in Lincoln Heights is already in the nature of this country. I think about the colored and the white water fountains. I think about Black folks and white folks being separated in waiting rooms on bus routes, international bus routes, Black people having to sit on the back of the bus. That's called overt, open, in your face racism and bigotry, the Confederate flag, the swastika, all of that. And so now the Trump presidency and the shadow president, Elon Musk, has bubbled that back up to the surface. And now folks are feeling more emboldened to do what it is that was already in the nature of this country. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Speaking truth to power and to the powerless. This is Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
I have a dream today.
They said it couldn't be done. They said we wouldn't make it. But history had other plans. This February, KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates the dreamers, the doers, and the breakthrough makers of Black History Month. Your station, your stories. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party breakfast@gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party breakfast@gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
The following is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways for the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a complimentary stay in Cancun at a luxury resort, then Family Vacation Getaways may have your ticket to paradise. We're giving away a 5-day and 4-night stay to the first qualified 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You may also be eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $398. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you may be eligible to get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $398. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431. Again, call 800-868-6431 and give us your answer.
To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
So, Doc, in terms of exploring in a deeper way what is happening in Lincoln Heights, again, Lincoln Heights is a predominantly Black community in the Cincinnati area. And so there were swastikas, neo-Nazis spewing hatred. And the residents there questioned whether or not the police were, whether or not the police did all that they can do. The conundrum here is the notion, not just the notion, the First Amendment, free speech. And speech can be hateful. People do have the right to spew hateful speech as well as love speech. And all of that speech is protected by our Constitution. Now, in the sense of inciting violence, some discretion may be able to be used. But when we say we got to take the bitter with the sweet, that means that even hateful speech, sometimes you got to endure it. The question becomes, do the members of that community, Lincoln Heights, feel safe? The police chief held a meeting. There were meetings held in the Lincoln Heights community so that the community can come out and talk about it. Black men took to the streets, armed, took to the streets, patrolling to protect that community and to let it be known that they were not going to stand for any foolishness or nonsense. It is sad, very sad, that in the 21st century, we have to endure some of the ravages of what happened in the 20th century. And the more I think about it, I did not say this, somebody else great said it, but the more things change, Doc, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, that's so true. It's very real. Right when you think you're making a major breakthrough, you have a backlash and you feel the push, but we're not retreating. They could attempt to push us, but we're not retreating at all. I was glad to see the folk come together for self-defense. You know, back in the 60s, we had deacons,
Yes.
self-defense. These
The
days,
Black Panthers.
deaconess for self-defense, trustees for self-defense, senior choir, self-defense, brothers and sisters on the block, self-defense. We just have to recognize that, you know, you want to be highly disciplined. You don't want to engage in self-defense in such a way that you end up generating a situation that could have been avoided. But you do have to have self-defense based on your love for Black people.
That's right. That's exactly right.
As long as you keep that love at the center of it, you're not going to terrorize my mama in this way. She already got enough to deal with. She got enough trauma to deal with. We're not going to have neo-Nazis coming in the community engaging with that kind of vicious, hateful spirit.
And go unanswered. You know, it really making me think again, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The Red Summer of 1919.
1919.
White mobs all over this country, predominantly targeting big cities. We know the Great Migration, when the largest majority of African-American folks, those of African descent, African-American folks, Black folks, if you will, people like that word, that's fine with me too, migrated into the northern cities. You know, the industrialism, the need for jobs, and just really the need to escape the place where they themselves had been enslaved, or their ancestors, their mamas, their daddies, their greats. You know, people wanted to leave those places. And so a great migration of Black folks swept northern cities, and that made many white communities upset. You know, we talk a lot about the South, Doc, but I want our listeners, our audience, to understand that it is the difference between the fox and the wolf that Minister Malcolm X talked so deeply about, that he educated us about, the difference between who's in your face and who's doing it slyly. The North had just as much to do with the enslavement of Africans and then their American descendants as much as the South. They benefited economically from that enslavement. This country, before its founding and then after its founding, indelibly linked to that type of inhumane labor force based on the love of corrupt capitalism. Let us remind you, cannot wait till we get to our teaching Thursdays this week, but let us remind folks that the linkage, the web, if you will, between the South and the North was very, very strong. You might not have had cotton fields in the North, but make no mistake, the North benefited from enslavement. And that's really what set the Southern folks off, Doc. They looked at the Northern folks and called them hypocrites. You know, you got some nerve. And now we're going into the Civil War portion. The fact that this is happening in Cincinnati should be of no surprise. Cincinnati is Southern Ohio, and even Ohio had some laws on the books that had to be changed, even though it is a northern state. But this link should not be unfamiliar. So the Red Summer of 1919, these plagues of white folks that started race riots on Black folks, unprovoked race riots on Black folks during that summer, one of the bloodiest summers in the history of this country. So none of this stuff, Doc, is new.
It is new. Well, it reminds me of the great Josephine Baker 2 years earlier in East St. Louis, when Black folk were attacked systematically. She was run down by the vigilantes. And she wrote in her journal, "The very idea of America makes me shake and tremble and gives me nightmares."
Yes.
And she got up and left, went to Paris.
She did.
Stayed there the rest of her life. One of the
Yeah.
greatest artists of the 20th century in her own particular genres of dancing and song and so forth, you see. Or 2 years after 1919, in my hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Black Wall
Street.
Yes, I made it. Uncle Charlie and the Gap Band, Greenwood, Archer and Pine, GAP, Gap Band. He's straight out of Tulsa too with his genius self.
Yes.
That you see these kinds of escalating attacks in the past and in the present. And we just have to be ready. We got to be fortified, and we have to be organized, because I think this is a foretaste of what is to come.
And the type of terrorism is real. And I know Brother Tavis just recently interviewed, I believe she's the last living person. She was a child during that time. She's well over 100 years old. God bless her for that. And there's a book out. God, I hope Miles might be able to put it in the chat for us. But she has a book. I think the title is "Don't Let My Words Be Forgotten" or something like that. We'll get the title if we have to get it during our next break and bring that forward. But just the fact that there were three of them alive a few years ago, and they went before the Congress. And as you probably know, Dr. West and our audience can suspect, there's a lot of skinning and grinning and smiling and welcome. And they testify before the Congress asking for reparations. You know, this is this prolonged debate about whether or not the descendants of enslaved people deserve reparations. The answer is absolutely, we deserve reparations. I'm going to put that in the parking lot for a minute. If you look at those that suffered during Black Wall Street, the Tulsa riots, it's funny, they calling it a riot. It was a riot on Black Wall Street.
Vicious attack on.
This vicious attack for those folks. But to have those folks, those three who endured this as children, and not give them reparations, because they're trying to say descendants, we so far removed. Why do we owe you reparations? You owe it to us because you didn't give it to our mamas, our daddies, our grandmamas, and our granddaddies, and so on and so forth. That these three in your face, and yet and still, the Tulsa itself, nor did that Congress push forward at least reparations for these three. We got it, Doc. Don't let them bury my story. The oldest living survivor of the Tulsa race massacre by Mother Viola Fletcher. Yeah,
Viola Fletcher. I was blessed to break bread with my beloved Annie Heaton and Brother Flager of St. Sabina and Brother John Cusack, and John Rogers was the lawyer for those two sisters. He's a brilliant young brother.
Yes.
His name is Simmons, Brother Simmons. He's from Tulsa. And the mayor, who's a black mayor now of Tulsa, just made an announcement saying, in fact, that they're going to have a certain kind of open push to make sure that there's going to be some attempt to generate some justice. And we were wondering whether that black mayor was going to come through or not, because, you know, these black politicians, you got to hold your breath.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately.
It looked like Brother Simmons put that pressure on him, and we're moving in a decent direction. But all of this really has to do with the increasing and escalating barbarism, and that's really what it is. It's beyond polarization. It's gangsterization of the most intense sort. That's what barbarism is.
Yeah. And just to think that people could hate that deeply, though, you know, this is a moment for really some deep reflection, to hate a people who have done absolutely nothing to you, you know, brought here stripped of language, culture, name, religion, and by nothing but sheer miracle, nothing but the power of God was able to transform the fabric of this nation, even in our own suffering. And you talk about that a lot. That is not just the struggle side and the suffering side, but it's the brilliant side. It's the power side. It's the side that is the heart and soul of this nation. But to have them bring forward this type of deep, it's beyond bigotry. It is literally a hatred. And to think that, you know, nothing, you go right ahead, Doc. Go.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, the great essay by this brother right here, W. B. Du Bois.
Oh,
The
yes.
Souls of White Folk. He wrote it in 1917 and republished it in 1920. People know The Souls of Black Folk, 1903. That's a classic. But the essay, The Souls of White Folk, and he talks about human hatred in its most intense forms. And he's writing this responding to 1917 race massacres, responding to 1919 race massacre. So you got it right. And see, people don't like to talk about the hatred. They like to talk about, well, we got difficult race relations. No, you've been hating Black people.
From the beginning.
Viewing us as subhuman. Viewing us as not part of the human family. Viewing us as not worthy of having pain. That's Thomas Jefferson in Notes of Virginia. That kind of white supremacy. And David Walker in his appeal, Colored Citizens of the World, particularly and expressly those in the USA, Thomas Jefferson said that in Notes. He said Jefferson did more damage to us than he did even in his slave holding on a certain level, because he put that out for the whole world. Because most of the politicians, George Washington, all of them had slaves, but he had those notes on Virginia.
Yeah.
And you can see the reverberations of it. And it inspired who? It inspired apartheid in South Africa. They say they learned that from the American South. It inspired Hitler. Hitler said he was encouraged by the Jim Crow system in the United States, just as he was encouraged when the Armenians underwent genocide. Nobody said nothing. He said, I can do it to the Jews. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing. That's sick beyond measure. That's spiritually decadent beyond measure. That's barbarism. That's what we more and more dealing with in 2025. It's a hell of a time to be alive, though, isn't it?
It is. Getting a taste of it, really. And that is why the history of these things are so important, and why we on Truth Time attempt to link history to present time. It was James Baldwin who once said, know from whence you came. If you know from whence you came, there's virtually nowhere that you cannot go. And we have to understand from whence we came, both as individuals, but also communally and as a nation, so that we are not as shocked, because this is shocking for some folks. You look at Generation Z and millennials, Gen X has a connection to the civil rights generation. Gen X is probably the last generation that has a physical connection, to the civil rights generation. But when you get to millennials and Zs, for them, they like, what in the heck is this? What's happening in the United States of America? It is important to link this to the past so we can understand how to build in the present and into the future. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will continue this conversation on KBLA Talk 1580.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
I'm not driving you, man.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump says U.S. control of Gaza would bring peace. Speaking with Jordan's King Abdullah II, he called Gaza war-torn and said Palestinians will be relocated. The king pledged to take in 2,000 children. The eastern U.S. is dealing with 2 winter storms. Snow hit the Midwest yesterday, moving into the Ohio Valley, Virginia, and New England. Another storm may bring heavy rain to the Gulf Coast and snow further north. New York Governor Kathy Hochul says Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams must prove he's putting New Yorkers first after the Department of Justice dropped his corruption case. She says she'll keep working with him, but questions his objectivity. Critics say he's seeking Trump's help to avoid trial or get a pardon. And Kanye West's website is down after he tried selling a swastika shirt. Shopify removed it, citing policy violations. He'd previously used a big game ad to drive traffic to the site after a string of anti-Semitic posts. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
The Luka Doncic era with the Lakers is off to an impressive start. In the debut game for Doncic in a Lakers uniform, the Lakers dominated Utah Monday night at Crypto.com 132-113. It was the first game for Doncic since Christmas Day. He had been sidelined with a strained calf muscle. Doncic was in the starting lineup. In 24 minutes, he contributed 14 points and 4 assists. When Doncic gets in shape and loses a few pounds, Lakers Nation will see his true value. The Lakers have won 6 straight and 10 of their last 11 games. The Charlotte Hornets have asked the NBA to investigate the Lakers' physical exam of Hornets center Mark Williams. Williams failed the physical after he was acquired by the Lakers in a trade last week. The NBA rescinded the trade on Saturday, sending all players involved in the deal back to their original teams. Stay tuned on this situation. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Whoa, whoa.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The following is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways for the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a complimentary stay in Cancun at a luxury resort, then Family Vacation Getaways may have your ticket to paradise. We're giving away a 5-day and 4-night stay to the first qualified 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You may also be eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $398. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you may be eligible to get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $398. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431. Again, call 800-868-6431 and give us your answer.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or apply stopped, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
If you've struggled to lose weight in the past, this important message is for you because you could lose as much as 50 pounds or more with Zelfie. Zelfie makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelfie providers can prescribe FDA-approved GLP-1 weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others. Plus, help get the medication covered by insurance so it's as little as $0 a month.
The doctors are super helpful, and the meds have been a game changer. It's the first program I've had success with.
Before Zelfie, I was unable to lose weight, even though I was eating healthy and exercising 6 days a week. Zelfie helped me not only lose weight, but I feel so much better.
Text GOAL to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text GOAL to 200-300. That's GOAL to 200-300. GOAL to 200-300.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
I'm back.
Yes, we are. We count it all joy that you are here with us on this day. Doc, I want to go through some of the comments from some of our viewers on YouTube. We have Blessed Peacemaker. Greetings from Kenya. Dr. West and Nina with an exclamation point. Thank you, Blessed Peacemaker. We really, really appreciate you. Miss Regina Adams, that might be Miss Regina Adams from Cleveland, Ohio. And she says, there's nothing new under the sun, only the faces change. Hello, somebody. That is profound. Miss Regina Adams laying it out. Andrea G, I am so grateful for these conversations. We are at an inflection point. A major storm and attack is upon us. Please discuss this new world order and a plan to live and move forward. Thank you, Andrea G. That's a very good point. Laying out the times and what are some of the ideas and thoughts, Doctor, we have about plans. We want to thank we couldn't get to all of them. We'll try to read as many as we can throughout the show, but we really, really appreciate you. Again, count it all joy that you are with us today. Doc.
That's beautiful, though. I love that invoking of blessed are the peacemakers. It reminds me of the Sermon on the Mount and the Sermon on the Plain.
Yeah.
You know, that 6th chapter, Matthew, 5th chapter, Luke, that that's talking about poverty. Blessed are the poor. Talking about hunger. Blessed are those who hunger. It's talking about hatred, those who persecute you. And it's talking about revenge, and revenge is mine. I want you to be the salt of the earth. I want you to be the light of the earth. You are the salt. Doesn't say you should be. You are the salt. You are the light. How do we remain salt and light in a moment in which they're trying to call into question our flavor and trying to shut out our light with all of the dimness and grimness coming at us, and yet we just keep shining like Fannie Lou Hamer. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Ooh, Fannie.
Yeah.
Fannie never shut out her light. Even when they kill her body, her light still shines.
It did. I mean, we're going to highlight her at some point on one of our Teaching Thursdays, but since you brought it up, and you would not have known, I mean, this is definitely spiritual. My Nina notes today is coming from a quote from the one and only Fannie. Oh yeah, you didn't know that.
I didn't know that, my dear sister.
we are connected in that way. Now, when you talk about her body, I mean, she definitely put her body on the line. A sharecropper, didn't own anything. We know that the sharecropping system was a rotten system, a way to keep Black people predominantly in debt. Even as they produced, it was the second iteration of enslaved. You might as well have been enslaved because you were. You weren't legally in terms of chattel slavery, but it was another type that was allowed to take hold in the South. And she was put in jail, as you know, and beaten. The sheriffs commanded some other inmates in there to beat her. Right. She definitely endured a lot physically, mentally, and spiritually. You wouldn't know it by her courage and the way she continued to fight for freedom, all the way up to shaking Lyndon Baines Johnson in his boots. She was set to testify, to have some words to say at the Democratic National Convention, and President LBJ was so scared of this Black woman that he called a fake press conference. Hello, somebody. Doc, we don't want to give it all away. But come on now.
She said, I question America.
Come on.
I question America.
Yes.
Oh,
yes, she
Lord.
Did.
No, we don't exist without Fannie Lou Hamer. We really don't. We don't exist without her spirit, her sacrifice, her witness is shot through every fiber of our being.
Yeah, that's it. And, to go back to Andrea G's question, what do? We got to keep fighting. We got to keep praying. If you pray, meditating, however you bring those good vibes, you got to keep doing that, because you got to shore up yourself. Like, there's no magical answer that the doc and I are going to be able to give today. It is very much rooted in what freedom fighters did in the past, what we can do and the tools that we have differently right now in the present, and how we shore up and stand up and undergird for generations yet unborn. If you've ever flown on an airplane, you know what they say about if the mask come down, put it on yourself first before you can help the person next to you. And in this moment, one of the best things that each and every one of us can do and should do is to strengthen our own resolve, physically, spiritually, and mentally, so that we are ready, that we are in the ready position for whatever the assignment is for us to play in fighting against injustice and fighting for justice. Doc, your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's it. That's it. And that's exactly what Truth Time is all about. How do you move from being an echo of a silo to being a voice for truth and justice? And how do you ground your voice in your vocation and your own distinctive calling? And how do you situate your voice and your vocation in a rich tradition so that you can be a vessel for virtues? And the most important virtue is always courage, because all the talk about love and hope and faith are empty if you're a coward.
That's it.
You got to have courage. When you have courage to love, courage to think, courage to hope, courage to laugh, courage to keep going, then you know that you have opened yourself to some very, very magnificent possibilities.
Yeah, magnificent possibilities. And definitely keep that in mind, even in these moments. And to the residents of Lincoln Heights and the great Queen City of Cincinnati, we lift you up. We lift you up, and glad that the political figures there are taking this seriously. And to the people, to the men and the women who are patrolling that neighborhood to make sure that no one has to live in fear, we pray for your wisdom and also your protection, Doc. We got to make sure. And know Lincoln Heights, I mean, I've visited there many times. Two of my dear friends live there. Senator Eric Kearney and the Vice Mayor, Jan Michelle Kearney, are there as well. And so just a very, very good community. Does not deserve what is happening to them right now. This too shall pass. And I'm glad that the community is coming together. That is one of the best things that they can do, is to come together to be able to fight back against this scourge. And so it's Lincoln Heights today. Where will it be tomorrow? You know, just listening to the fact that HETSEC, the Secretary of Defense, they took all the names of the Confederate folks off of the naming of ships and other things, and this genius then decided to put the names back. I mean, they think they really doing something. I mean, who names things after the loser? That's what I'm trying to understand. They lost in the Civil War, but we continue as a country to glorify folks that separated themselves from the United States of America to fight in a war to preserve slavery. And they think they doing something.
They think they're doing something. Well, we got to consider now they lost the war, but they won the peace. Confederacy was grounded in white supremacy. For 12 years, looked like we were winning. But lo and behold, when they withdrew the military troops and allowed the Klan to run wild and try to subjugate our precious poor black folk, they won the peace. And they won the peace from 1877 till 1965.
Yes, sir.
So that's really what they're trying to go back to. And then when Trump says, I want to make America great again, and who does he invoke? Who was his favorite president? McKinley. Who was McKinley? Pro-Jim Crow. Who was McKinley? Brought in Cuba, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Guam, 6 million people of color under the jurisdiction of the American imperial authority.
Imperialist, yes.
So that's part of what I mean by, Trump himself and the administration being 19th century imperialists. Because they don't have to worry about law. They don't have to worry about rule of law. They don't have to worry about constitution. They do whatever they want to do with raw power. That's what the United States did with indigenous peoples. That's what they did with enslaved black peoples. That's what they did with the working class when they wanted to exploit them and not allow them to engage in collective bargaining until 1936. Yeah. That period of the United States, the robber barons, the Gilded Age, it was raw
power grab. And that's what they're attempting to do in the Gaza when he talks about, taking it over and expelling the millions of people who called that place home, and they got to go somewhere else where we rebuild it for somebody else. Lord, have mercy on our souls. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. When we come forward, we will continue this conversation on KBLA Talk 1580.
Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Kadeen and Deval Ellis for P&G Good Every Day.
Babe, guess what?
We can save big on all our favorite P&G brands like Tide, Cascade, and Febreze. Plus, support great causes every day.
Wait, hold up. You telling me we can save money and feel good about it? How?
Well, remember how Granny and Big Mama used to save money by cutting those coupons out of Sunday papers? Now we just go to pggoodeveryday.com, sign up for P&G's free rewards program, and get exclusive coupons.
Okay, so we can get VIP status and save money.
Exactly. We stock up on the P&G products so you, the boys, and I are good every day, just like our folks did for us.
Well, you better go visit pggoodeveryday.com right now because you got to go buy some detergent and toothpaste and toilet paper.
Me?
Yeah, you. And with all that extra cash, I got to go buy these new sneakers.
It's okay, funny man. You got jokes. Boy, focus on these savings first.
Visit pggoodeveryday.com.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like
inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
February is Black History Month, a time to celebrate the achievements and resilience of Black communities. But it's important to address health disparities in diseases like asthma. In the U.S., Black Americans are approximately 5 times more likely than white Americans to be hospitalized for asthma. But there's hope. Managing your asthma is possible with regular checkups, using prescribed medications correctly, avoiding asthma triggers, and creating an action plan with your healthcare professional. Take control. Your health is your power. To learn more about asthma, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Truth Crushed to Earth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, you are. We have been exploring in this conversation what is happening in Lincoln Heights and Cincinnati, where you have Nazism, swastikas, neo-Nazism on full display, and the link between what is happening in that community in the southern part of Ohio and what has always happened in the United States of America. And Doc, we definitely got to get to, are Americans lazy? But before we bring that forward, just a few more comments from some of our folks who are out there listening to us today. We are so grateful to have them. The conversation about should we care about what's happening in the Gaza? Does that matter? And some of our folks are laying out how Dr. King stood against that Vietnam War. He stood against militarism. So even though it was over there, one of the things I like to say that what happens over there happens over here. More than one thing can be true at once. And also, as we look out for us, we do have to have an eye towards what's happening in other parts of the world, because we are even more connected now than we were even in the 60s and also in the 70s. And that's something that people wrestle with all the time, because we're enduring our own kind of pain. Why should we care about what's happening over there? And I know that you have some thoughts about that. Justice for All National Party said, yes, I hope you cover Ella Baker and her contributions to the movement. Justice for All, we will definitely highlight the one and only Ella Baker. Doc, we probably do that maybe on a teach-in Thursday, maybe in March. We'll get to Ella Baker. So we appreciate each and every one of you. So like that notion that if we're talking about Gaza or the Sudan, then somehow we are not in tune with the suffering of Black people right here in the United States of America.
Well, we'd have to raise a question. Well, what did Frederick Douglass have to say? Well, he talked about oppression of Irish. What does Marcus Garvey have to say? He said Jamaica and Ireland are both colonies of the British Empire. What did Ella Baker have to say? Well, she ended her life struggling for Puerto Rican independence and connecting it always with the struggle for Black freedom. What does W. Du Bois have to say? All the great figures in the past have said justice is indivisible. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So that when we go back to the best of our past, we say, what do they have to say? Well, they already laid it out for us. They set
part
the
of our
standard.
tradition.
That's exactly right. We just had to follow right on through with our own voices, not our little echoes. because the mainstream echo don't want you to say that. Oh, no, not at all. That's why you can't get black voices on mainstream television say a mumbling word about Gaza. They scared, they intimidated, they so full of fear, they worried about their careers. So you wouldn't even know that genocide's taking place. You wouldn't even know 19th century imperialism was still operating with ethnic cleansing with our precious Palestinian folk. Same, we'd have to talk about Sudan. We'd have to say the same thing about Haiti. We'd have to say the same thing about even what's going on in South Africa. You know, when Musk talks about, there's vicious attacks on white folk in South Africa. That's our fundamental focus. And then Trump jumps on it. He's in solidarity with the South Africans. 15% of the population got 70% of the land.
Come on, Doc.
Oh, please.
It's so upside down that the white Afrikaner, the Dutch, came in there and took over another people's land, the black African. Lord have mercy on my soul. I'm gonna try to go and settle that down, Doc. But that is, as you said, they followed our playbook, and just the nerve, the nerve. Wow. Oh, go ahead, Doc.
But absolutely, so when our precious folk who are listening to us say that you all continually talk about solidarity with other folk, we must always begin at home. I do believe that.
Charity starts at home and spreads abroad.
That's exactly right. But when you start at home, Irene and Clifton Cynthia and Cheryl, I was just with them this weekend, had such a wonderful time. That they taught us to be decent human beings. They taught us to be persons that have integrity, honesty, and a sensitivity to other people's suffering. Not just in my neighborhood and hood and ghetto, but others as well. Not just in my country, but other countries. Because there's human beings over there too. And of course, as Christian, they got the same sanctity and the same dignity as any other human being in the world, all made in the image of an almighty and loving God. And so in that sense, you have to be an internationalist. You got to be in solidarity with folk across national boundaries.
And if it were us, we would want somebody to come to our rescue as well. We are connected, a fabric called humanity. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Life blooms in beautiful ways. The Afia Center invites you to celebrate At the End with Red Gala, honoring the strength and resilience of Black women living with HIV. Join us for an evening of empowerment as we launch the Barbara Cambridge Scholarship and kick off Herstory Month with our theme, Life in Full Bloom. Your support helps create vital HIV programming and builds a future where every voice is heard and every story matters. The End with Red Gala, because every flower deserves to bloom. To learn more and to donate, visit theafiacenter.org.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has a program specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to resolve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
I'm back.
Love and truth is our goal. So, Doc, we're going to have to bring forward on tomorrow's show a deeper conversation about, are Americans lazy? I mean, according to Elon Musk, we can get this party started a little bit in our remaining minutes here on the show for today. But I want to go a little deeper. There's research out there that shows that Americans work longer hours than most of their industrial nation neighbors, by hundreds of hours more. And just the thought that you have somebody like Elon Musk who receives corporate welfare. Hello, somebody, did you hear what I said? Receives corporate welfare, thumb his nose down upon the American worker. If my maternal grandmother was alive, she would say he got more nerves than a brass A monkey. I don't know who the brass A monkey is, but that's what grandma was saying, Doc. I'm just really shaking my head. And the fact that some folks are going to buy into this nonsense. So we'll get this party started a little bit today. And then tomorrow we'll go deeper with some stats and opening up the conversation to our audience. But some quick thoughts about that.
Well, I just think about all the lies that have been told about not just Black people, but Black women during the 1980s and 90s, where the welfare queens became the embodiment of the lazy ones. And yet we know, of course, that Black women, almost 80% of them were working in white households, raising white babies and raising their own babies and doing magnificent jobs on both fronts. It's like Delsey and Sound and the Fury of William Faulkner's great classic. She was the embodiment of humanity, and she's raising the kids. And then she go home and raise her kids. And then she becomes a symbol of lazy. And then you got really class folks sitting around sipping tea on yachts, and they become the embodiment of working hard. Please spare me. Even the crack pipe is a little bit too good for you when it comes to that. Jesus Christ. Spare me. The lies become so thick, become so overwhelming. You just got to push it aside and keep on strutting and keep on swinging.
Keep on strutting, keep on swinging, keep on telling the truth. So Dr. West and I, we will definitely dive into that as our first hot topic when we come forward tomorrow. So Nina Notes, the one and only Fannie Lou Hamer, Mississippi, baby. She said, one day I know the struggle will change. There's got to be a change, not only for Mississippi, not only for the people in the United States, but the people all over the world. Doc, if that don't encapsulate what we have been talking about today, when you laid out, it is in our tradition to not only care about ourselves, but to be a visionary about how we want other people to live in the world. One day, I know the struggle will change. There's got to be a change, not only for Mississippi, not only for the people in the United States, but for the people all over the world. The one and only Fannie Lou Hamer. Baby, you got this. This is Truth Time. It's us. It's Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner bringing it like you can only get it on Truth Time. We cannot wait to see you again tomorrow. This is Truth Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica. On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, Now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome back to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We are moving forward today with an exciting guest, a young man that I am particularly honored to have on my program. There's so much happening in the news, and I think we can count on all of that in the Trump era. What a day we had yesterday.